Welcome back to the channel. So today, it's a heavy, deep, serious topic. Things no one tells you about being a parent. I get asked this by DMs on Instagram a lot from folks that are not parents yet. And they're like, oh, what are these things? Or I have a niece and nephew that was just born and I'm really surprised by this. And there's a whole world of things that nobody tells you, right? And I've talked about a lot of those topics on this channel for things people don't physically tell you about motherhood, right? There's a lot of nitty-gritty that nobody talks about because they're just like, oh, it's too gross or it's too painful. And you can go through my whole back catalog of videos. I talk a ton about this. What I thought would be fun today is to talk about kind of general parenting things that are true for moms and dads that we joke about a lot as a society, but maybe we don't really prepare for because everybody thinks, oh, it won't be the case. I mean, the number one thing everyone talks about is the lack of sleep. And I think a lot of people go into parenting thinking, oh, the lack of sleep will get better after like their month or 6 months. And I find that it really comes in waves. Like, my son has been a horrible sleeper his entire existence. He's never been a good sleeper, but there'll be kind of, crests where we'll get a little bit more sleep and the routine will really be working for us developmentally. And then there'll be some kind of developmental leap for him or a life stressor for his little mind. And then the sleep will just go out the window again. So sleep is the number one thing that people don't, I think, anticipate fully just how much it crushes you to not sleep for years, because it will go on for years. And it ebbs and flows, but you really have to prepare yourself of like, oh, how do I go about life and get everything done plus parenting on just really regular sleep patterns. Do you have anything to add about sleep? I feel like you have a very different sleep routine.
Yeah.
Rob's off camera in case you're wondering. Who am I talking to? It's not myself.
Well, I feel as though you should at least try to be in charge of sleep wherever you can. If you set them up for
very optimistic.
Success, then you'll have.
So we got a sleep trainer in the back behind the camera here. I have never gone in for sleep training. I have very strong views on it. But definitely a routine has been the most helpful thing for me on sleep for the little guy, is that we have a routine at night that we try to stick to. And it changes, as he has changed in age and his sleep patterns have changed. But we stick with it. And that's true as a sleep routine that we stick with if we're traveling, if we are visiting family, or if we're home. It's really this kind of thing at night that we do. And there's always wiggle room, right? It depends how tired we are that day. That helps a ton for unexpected things that you think as a parent going into it. Maybe it's your first kid and you're watching this and you got a little newborn and you think, oh, I love this little newborn so much, I can go without sleep for a few weeks. It's years. It's so many years. And I remember my parents having kids, waking them up in the middle of the night. I mean, even teenagers can have night terrors, and wake you up. So sleep is the number one thing. Absolutely. I think a second thing that nobody prepares you for is the amount of judgment. And you hear about this, you hear about mommy shaming and how unfair it is that like a dad carrying a baby gets applauded and a mom carrying a baby is just like, well, you're just doing what you have to do, right? We all hear about that, but I don't think a lot of parents going into it realize the amount of parent shaming that goes on between moms. And it's a very subtle, weird social cues kind of thing. I never fully understand it because, I had my very eccentric childhood growing up. So it didn't prepare me socially for the amount of parent judgment that there is. You can never do anything right for everybody that's going to be judging you. And I think that it's really important to just prepare yourself for that. Whatever stage of parenting you are in, is to remind yourself that no matter what you do, there are always going to be people that think you're doing it wrong, that you're doing it too much, you're not doing it enough, and that they have the better opinion that's backed up with something that they read on the internet that they thought that they had a dream about, and so they know they're right. And it doesn't matter what age, from babyhood on through adolescence, other parents are just going to be judging what you're doing, and that's inherent. We're all just judgy, bossy people, right? So preparing yourself mentally to know, what fits for your family, what works for your family dynamic is not necessarily going to work for other families. And I think the more we internalize that message instead of like guilt and shame about how we all parent and what are we doing wrong, what are we doing so much better than everybody else, it lets us be less of the judgy group. And I see that so constantly. The amount of messages I get from parents about something that they're stressed out and shameful about, or that they're shaming other people, or my parenting styles. I mean, I get all sorts of critiques. The Valentine's Day tree really triggered the mom and dad squad on the internet. They were like, oh, a Valentine's Day tree, is your parenting just collapsing in around you because you have this? So you just never know what's going to trigger people in their judgy little selves. You just got to kind of internalize that whatever you are doing and you have thought through and works for your family is kind of the progress that you need to be making and you need to be thinking about, instead of what other people are judging you by. I have one friend that would never admit to this, but is constantly worried about what other people think. And it's such a stressful way to live, you know, because everybody's going to have an opinion on how you parent, from the day you tell people you're pregnant to, you know, even when they are adult children. I will hear things from my parents' point of view of stuff that they get told, you know, about how their adult children are doing, and it never stops. So just prepare yourself for that. Realize that, you know, maybe you hear jokes about it, but it's one of those things that no one ever really tells you the full depth of, because everybody's scared of being judged, even though they know they are being. Okay, I had to think that one through, because there are so many. Number 3 on things that people just do not tell you about parenting is the amount of personality shifts little people can go through. It is incredible to see. I see it even in my little 2-year-old nephew. The amount of personalities that your kid is gonna try on, test out, and roll through, even in their first 5 years, right? My son is only 5, so I've only been parenting for 5 years. And it's crazy to see just how you interact with them has to kind of adapt and change to where they are developmentally or emotionally, and whatever life things are affecting them. And I feel like as parents, we frequently don't give enough credit to children that things that happen in their life do affect them. I mean, that can be, you know, their teddy bear went missing this week, and this can be a huge trauma, right? And it changes the way they react to stimuli, right? So things people do not tell you is just how much kids change and how quickly. And it's not in a linear progression where you're like, oh, I see this, yeah, they're edging towards adulthood, yeah, I can see them, they're almost ready to drive, they're gonna be off to college soon. It loops and turns and is a crazy circus ride. It makes no sense, and you kind of have to just flow with it and kind of see where they are and how your parenting kind of helps to try to guide them and stabilize them, but realizing that you can't force kids to reach milestones or to be feeling and reacting the way that you want them to for things. And I think that's one of the best pieces of advice I have ever heard, is just to really listen to your kids and see where they're at in their little lives, right? And I think as parents, it's really easy for us to go, oh, they're just so tiny and what they're feeling isn't valid. And that just makes any kind of, you know, personality loop-de-loops that they go through way worse, because they don't feel validated. So those are 3, I know, maybe deeper than you were thinking. You were thinking they were going to be silly, weren't you? But parenting is both ridiculous and really, really serious all at the same time. And those are things that I know, talking to other parents, nobody really talks enough about in depth, because they just don't want to get into it. They don't want to frighten other parents away. And it's good to have these conversations. It's one of the things I love about this channel, is that from the beginning, it's been a lovely conversation about all these wonderful parenting topics, and, you know, just how natural it is to have the crazy loops and dips and rises that are parenting. So I will see you in the next vlog. Have you guys been liking the daily vlogs? You can tell I haven't actually done every day of the week because I just can't manage that right now. I edit all the videos, I shoot them all. It's too much to handle, but I've been trying to do 3 days out of the week where I've been doing dailies and then adding in these fun, just chatting with you videos. As always, you can click on through the description box. Does it say Books by Mawa? Yes, it does. You can click on through there and to the line for all of our merch. And I will see you in, what's that? The next video, and where else? Instagram between videos. Thank you, biscuits.